Jeff Clemens in Tallahassee. And if you think about it, I think you'll know what that is.
President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act gained major support from the Supreme Court ruling just recently. Our governors come out in opposition of this act. If given an opportunity to represent this community in Tallahassee, are you for or against the Affordable Health Care Act, and how will you help to guarantee that citizens of this community without health insurance can get that health insurance needed?
I will venture to tell you that both Mac Bernard and I are absolutely big fans of the Affordable Health Care Act, and we will do everything that we can within our power in Tallahassee to fight for it. There's no doubt about that. I believe him when he says it. But you also have to understand that the people who are fighting against that are the very people who are fighting against me. Associated Industries, Florida Chamber, go look at their websites. They are absolutely opposed to the Affordable Health Care Act, and they're fighting against me. Now, I'm not going to cast aspersions. I don't know if Mac Bernard has anything to do with those attacks, but they certainly don't want me in Tallahassee. And those are the groups that have endorsed my opponent. I will continue to fight against the Associated Industries of Florida, against the Florida Chamber of Commerce, against those big business groups who want to destroy the Affordable Health Care Act, who want big business tax giveaways, and who want to make sure that corporations are protected rather than the average folks.
Well, we both do agree on the Affordable Care Act, that we want to make sure that as many Floridians in the state of Florida get health insurance. When I went to Stony Brooks today, there was this lady who had, she has 4 kids, and 2 of those kids don't have insurance, and they have asthma, and it's so important for us to make sure that even though they're displaced right now, she wants to make sure that they can get their asthma medication. And there's so many people in our community that need health insurance. In the Haitian community, we have so many people who don't have health insurance, and throughout my district, so many people who don't have health insurance. So I want to do everything in my power to get as many Floridians with health insurance as possible. And what I want to do is for us to create the exchanges as soon as possible, which is what I want to do as a state senator, create those exchanges, so in that way we have an exchange that is specifically for the state of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the previous candidates said that small businesses drive our economy, and I actually agree. But I would like to hear from you, gentlemen, if you can tell me what is it that you can do to help small businesses so that we can move our economy forward. And I'm talking specifically about the small businesses, because I believe that that's most what's represented in this room.
Thank you very much. I've always been a small business owner. When I graduated from undergrad, I started a shoe store right here in West Palm Beach. So I started my own company. I have my own law firm, so I've always been a small business owner. And I know how important it is, so that's the reason why I do the work for the Black Business Loan Program, to make sure that all of the BBICs are able to lend money to new startup black businesses in the state of Florida. And we have one in Riviera Beach where this year we made sure that they were funded $2.2 million in the budget. So we have to continue to fund our small business. Access to capital is very tough. Some of the banks are not lending money. And so that's why we have to continue. And even with the state small business credit initiative, we've been fighting the governor to make sure that we're able to get a piece of that money to make sure that we lend more money to our small businesses.
You know, I know here in West Palm Beach and in Riviera Beach, I think we've set some of our small businesses aside in order to go after the big fish. And I understand the port is important, but when you're talking about widening roads that's going to actually damage businesses and communities, community-owned business, mom and pop shops, I think that's wrong. I don't think we should be widening those roads. I think we should be paying attention to what's going on within our community. But in terms of bringing more business to the city or into the district, you know, I have a lot of experience there. I was the chairman of the CRA in Lake Worth, where we brought businesses to downtown, and I served as the mayor there, where again, we focused on bringing businesses to our downtown. And I think you'll agree, if you go to the downtown area in Lake Worth, the downtown is thriving compared to what it was. It was boarded up 20 years ago. There's no reason we can't have that same sort of renaissance in Riviera Beach and in other areas of West Palm Beach if we know how to do it. You've got to find ways to attract those small businesses. You get 1 or 2 big anchors, and then the small businesses coalesce around that. There are ways to get it done, and certainly working through the VICs, those are good ways to do it, but I think it creates you need a more tailored personal approach to small businesses.
I'd like to go back to healthcare briefly. Would you support a proposal that would privatize the Medicare program or change Medicare into a voucher, premium support, or defined contribution plans?
Absolutely not. The groups that are fighting for those in the state of Florida are the Florida Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Florida. I mean, those are the groups that want to see this happen, so there's absolutely no way I would vote for that. You know, we need healthcare for the people, not healthcare run by big insurance and by the Republicans in Tallahassee. I mean, this is what they've tried to do to you over the past 10 years should be criminal. We've continued to give away money to these big business groups, and yet people are suffering. The idea that we would reject millions of dollars to be able to bring health care to children in communities in Florida, while these big business walked away with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tax breaks, that's wrong. It's wrong. And we shouldn't be voting for it, no matter what we think about what it might do for jobs. How many people in here think trickle-down works? You give the big tax breaks to the big businesses, and that trickles down to the average folks. That's what we do in Tallahassee, time after time after time. We need to make sure that we're creating good insurance for people at every stratus of the economics. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting cut off. I apologize.
My answer to that is also the same thing. Absolutely not. But my opponent mentioned the issue regarding his work in the city of Lake Worth. And what I checked is the last time that what you worked on was to make sure that you provided high utility rates for your customers in Lake Worth. So that's what you spent more time with, and you're a lobbyist for those utility companies, and at the same time you sit on the utilities committee. So, and those utility companies are part of the chamber and AIF. So, you know, who's talking?
I need to respond to her last. You got to give me a chance to respond to a bald-faced liar.
What we're gonna do now, what we're gonna do at this point.
That's fine, I'll do it later.
Thank you, Representative Clement. What I would like to hear from you at this particular moment is what makes you the best candidate. I don't want to hear about your opponent in this 60 seconds. I want to give you the opportunity to tell this room why they should vote for you, because absentee ballots have already gone out. Polls will be open on the 14th. We'll have opportunity in a moment to make our closing remarks. You can include anything. You can even talk about me in your closing remarks. But this next 60 seconds, I would like to hear from you why you should get my vote.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here. I've been the state representative for the past 3 years. This is almost like a closing, but I've been the state representative for the past 3 years here in Tallahassee. When this district was created with a third black, a third Hispanic, and a third of the population white. In Palm Beach County right now, we have 2 out of our 6 Senate seats are represented by African Americans that represent Palm Beach County. If this seat is lost in our community, then we would have 0 representation in the Senate in Palm Beach County. Our population in Palm Beach County in regards to minority population is over 40%. We shouldn't be going backwards. We need to continue to move forward to make sure that we have minority representation in the House, minority representation in the Senate. Thank you.
Well, the reason you should vote for me has nothing to do with my race. It has to do with the fact that I'm going to go up to Tallahassee and I will fight for you every day. And it doesn't matter whether you're black, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, I will fight for you every day, as I have for the past 2 years. The reason I was made the Deputy Policy Chief of the Democratic Caucus in my first week in Tallahassee is because I'm a fighter. They know that I'm going to go up there and I'm not going to kowtow to Rick Scott's agenda. I'm not going to kowtow to the Republican agenda. I'm not going to bow down to things that hurt my communities. No matter what they tell me, I'm going to get for it in return. I will fight for you day and night, time and time again. And I will never stand in front of a room of people like this and lie about my opponent. That is my promise to you. I want to just tell you, he just said I was an energy lobbyist. I need to set that straight. I work for an energy conservation company. We save taxpayers millions and millions of dollars every year. So for someone to stand up here and say that I work for an energy company and I'm lobbying for FP&L and all those other companies, I can't call it anything else but a straight out lie. I go into communities and we save people and taxpayers money. That's my job. I love it, and I love saving people money. I think that's what state representatives should do.
I'd like to switch to safety of the community right now. With the recent gun violence in Colorado and the local Trayvon Martin case, there are two sides of the gun argument out there. One to get rid of the guns, and the other to repeal the Stand Your Ground law. If elected to go to Tallahassee, one, will you fight to repeal the Stand Your Ground law, and how will you take measures to help protect people in our community?
The Stand Your Ground law is terrible, terrible law. This is a law that encourages people to confront other people and hurt other people. And we need to get rid of it, we need to repeal it, and I don't think it needs to be replaced with anything. I think we need to let law enforcement do their job and get rid of this Stand Your Ground law. There's no question that around the state, time and time again, when this law has been invoked, it's been invoked in a case where people have hurt other people. And most often, by the way, most often, the way it is invoked is when you have someone saying that someone of a minority or an African American is doing something they shouldn't be doing, and that they were allowed to shoot them. It's terrible, terrible law, and it hurts the minority communities in the state, and really it hurts our credibility. One of the things we did last year or 2 years ago, they made the Gun Trust Fund in Tallahassee the only trust fund you couldn't sweep. Transportation, oh yeah, you can take and use that for whatever you want. Education money, do whatever you want with it. But the Gun Trust Fund in Tallahassee, you can't use for anything else. It's bad policy. Stand Your Ground is wrong for Florida.
Thank you very much. Regarding the Stand Your Ground law, as a state senator, that would be a bill that I would work with Senator Chris Smith, since he's been the lead on it, and I would file to repeal it. And this is something that we don't need to replace it with something else. We need to go back to common law. So we need to eliminate Stand Your Ground law completely. Another issue that I've worked on for the past 2 years is direct filing. In Palm Beach County, our previous state attorney was the worst in the state of Florida in terms of direct filing our young kids into the adult court system. So right now what we're trying to do is we want to remove the subjective standard in terms of direct filing our kids into the adult court system. So that's something that I want to work on, is to make sure that we allow an objective standard to be used. Thank you.
Thank you. You've talked about some of the committees that you've been a part of. Can you kind of recap for us what committees you've been a part of and what you would like to be a member of as a state senator?
Thank you very much. I've sat on, in the past 2 years, I've sat on insurance and banking, business and consumer affairs, civil justice, transportation, economic development, and tourism, the redistricting committee, and the full redistricting committee. So I've sat on many of the committees that affect a lot of our Floridians. So these are just some of the same committees that I would like to sit on in the Florida Senate. Thank you.
I've been lucky enough to be the ranking Democrat on government operations and state affairs, and I want to continue to do that in the Senate, and the reason is that's where a lot of these bad bills that come through affect us. It may not be a big money committee like insurance and banking. It's tough to raise money when you're only working on government issues. You know, bus drivers don't have that much to give to campaigns. But I think it's important that we have someone there who's fighting against these bad elections bills, who's fighting against these bills that seek to hurt state workers and take away their pensions. And so it's not glamorous, but I enjoy that very much, and I'll continue to do it. I also want to continue to sit on transportation. I think that's a great opportunity for economic development within our communities, building roads and bridges, those kind of sidewalks, those kinds of things that really make a difference in the livability of our communities. I think that's very, very important. Obviously, appropriations is an important committee that I would be interested in, because I think it's important to be able to bring money back to your community, and I want to be able to do that as well. You know, I think that I've done a good job on those committees in the House, and I'd like to continue to serve in the Senate.
Elections can sometimes tether relationships. After this election in August, how will you two unite to work together?